Nanda Braja Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Shamasundar Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Kalashanji Shri Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Shri Radhamadhava ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer the respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayasa abreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamha shloke bhakti bhakti naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering a service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyan Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksoranmetam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master so kindly opened my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. So we're going to go into chapter 17. Today we'll read texts 11 through 20. So what's going on before we get in? So we've had the weekend. We had some amazing festivals. A little reminder of what's going on. Anybody? We're talking about a DT, right? And what's a DT's issue right now? Yeah. The demons are kicking their anyways. And so Aditi is very anxious that her sons will be protected, right? And so she went to her husband, right? And said, what do I do? You know? And so he gave her this vrat, right? This process by which she could come to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and ask him for the benediction, right? And so today we'll hear about Krishna appearing. And so let's go to text 11, please. Anybody have a Jaishnav? Can you grab that mic, please? And go ahead.
Shukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, best of the Bharata dynasty, when the lotus-eyed Lord, the super soul of all living entities, was thus worshipped by Aditi, he replied as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Mother of the demigods, I have already understood your long cherished desire for the welfare of your sons who have been deprived of all opulence and driven from their residence by their enemies.
O Devi, O Goddess, I can understand that you want to regain your sons and be together with them to worship me after defeating the enemies in battle and retrieving your abode and opulences.
You want to see the wives of the demons lamenting for the death of their husbands when those demons, the enemies of your sons, are killed in battle by the demigods, of whom Indra is the chief.
You want your sons to regain their lost reputation and opulence and live again on their heavenly planet as usual.
O Mother of the demigods, in my opinion, almost all the chiefs of the demons are now unconquerable, for they are being protected by Brahmanas, whom the Supreme Lord always favors. Thus, the use of power against them now will not at all be a source of happiness.
Yet because I have been satisfied by the activities of your vow, O Goddess Aditi, I must find some means to favor you, for worship of me never goes in vain, but certainly gives the desired result according to what one deserves.
You have prayed to me and properly worshipped me by performing the great Payovrata ceremony for the sake of protecting your sons. Because of Kashyapa Muni's austerities, I shall agree to become your son and thus protect your other sons.
Always thinking of me as being situated within the body of your husband Kashyapa, go worship your husband who has been purified by his austerity.
O lady, if someone inquires, you should not disclose this fact to anyone. That which is very confidential is successful if kept secret.
Okay, let's go to text 12, please. We'll dive into this one. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Deva Matyar Bhavidai Me Deva Matyar Bhavatya Me Viganatma Chirat Kanksitam Vignanatma Chirat Kanksitam Yatsam Sapatanir Hirta Shrinam Yatsapanir Hirta Shrinam Chaivitanam Svadamata Chaivitanam Svadamata Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Devamatir Bhavata Me Vignatma Chirakankitam Yatsapatnir Hitasrinam Chaivitanam Svadamata. Bolo, please. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Yatsapanir Hitasrinam Deva Matyar Bhavatai Me Atnir Hitam Sri Nam Vacha Sapanir Hitam Srina Word for word, please together. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Deva Mataha, O Mother of the demigods, Bhavayatya, O me, may, by me, Vijanatam, understood, Chira Kanksitam, what you have desired for a long time, yat because, sapanahi, by the rivals, hirta shrinam, of your sons who are bereft of all opulences, chavitanam, vanquished, sva damataha, from their own residential quarters. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of God has said, O Mother of the demigods, I have already understood your long cherished desire for the welfare of your sons, who have been deprived of all opulences and driven from their residence by their enemies. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, and especially in the hearts of His devotees, is always ready to help devotees in adversity. Since He knows everything, He knows how things are to be adjusted, and He does the needful to relieve the suffering of His devotees. Translation one more time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Mother of the demigods, I have already understood your long cherished desires for the welfare of your sons, who have been deprived of all opulences and driven from their residence by their enemies. Hare Krishna. Aditi has, life is like this story. This is a very practical story. Srimad Bhagavatam is so amazing that any psychological situation that we can come across in life is presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. And because it's presented in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can get inspiration from it, from anything that we go through in our life. And this story right here is very practical, because this material world is in such a way that suffering is just around the corner. My father, he was a very interesting man. I appreciate him very much. He would say to me, my secular name was Nathan. Nathan, don't worry. If things are going good, don't worry. Just around the corner, life is going to kick you in the rear. And that was his motto in life, that just around the corner, there was some kind of suffering. You could see this, right? And then I had my mother, right? My mother, you guys know. And my mother's motto in life was, don't worry, be happy. And so this was actually very conducive to spiritual life, these two different mottos. It was that, yes, just around the corner, this material world is going to kick you and beat you up, and there's going to be some suffering. But what can we do about it? Don't worry, be happy. And how does the devotee be happy? They take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Aditi is put into a situation where this adversity, this suffering is presented to her. And so us also, we will come to life where we cannot help it. Suffering is around the corner. But how we decide to go through that suffering is our choice. We can try to avoid it as much as possible, but there's just some suffering that is unavoidable. And when we see with clarity through detachment that neither I am here for suffering or for happiness, I'm here to serve, then we can be clear when suffering is unavoidable. And when we have that clarity, we can follow in the footsteps of Mother Aditi. Mother Aditi knew of somebody who was very qualified, who had gone through so many austerities that they purified themselves, and the Lord was within their heart. It was very convenient because this person was her husband, right? And when she came to her husband and took shelter of him and asking him for instructions, he gave her a vrat, a way to go about getting what she desired. Did he say to her, the thing that you want is Maya. You don't know what is the truth. And so you should forget it. Not completely, right? He did explain to her that that she should be free of these attachments and worship the Supreme Lord. But knowing her heart and having Krishna within her heart, she could see where she was at. And this is a very important lesson for us. Because the first part of giving direction or helping someone is to listen to them. He was able to listen to his wife in a very kind and appreciative manner. He was very compassionate, right? And in this compassion, he was able to hear from her where she was at, what she wanted, and how to help her. And so Krishna, after Aditi has followed this instruction by her husband, Krishna has appeared. And first thing he says is, I know what you want. I know your heart. And he says, I'll take care of this. He says that the situation is like this, though. Your sons, they're in a situation where they can't win. They can't win in this situation. In life, have you ever gotten to that situation where you just can't win? No matter what you do, you're just kind of up against it. It's a lose-lose situation. So he said, the reason why this is because the demons have taken shelter of the Brahmanas, right? And Srila Prabhupada in a purport says that this foretells or gives an example of how powerful the worship of the Brahmins is, and how much Krishna appreciates somebody who worships and listens to a Brahmin. That even them as a demon cannot be defeated by the demigods. Amazing, huh? So Krishna says, I'm going to, and the only way to win, or anyway, the only way to help you is if I come down and do this. So that's where we will continue. But he says something interesting in these last few verses that we read. He said, now you take shelter of your husband. Krishna is within his heart. By his austerities, I'm going to follow. I'm going to serve you. Wow. This is a very good example about our attitude and how we approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should find somebody qualified. We should ask their advice. This should be somebody who has Krishna within their heart. They either are pure, completely pure in their service and have no tinge of material desires, or they are perfectly following that person, which is doing this. This is somebody who we should inquire from. And getting instruction from them, we follow their instructions. And Krishna, being pleased by the austerities that we are doing, and the austerities the person previously has done, then he helps us. So, because we're in this situation of a material world that is suffering, there's so many people out there suffering that need to be helped. And so we need to become qualified. We need to become qualified so that we can, like Kassapa Muni, give instructions to those persons that can help them. And so, how do we do that here now in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and our situation? Well, yes, please. I am. Go ahead, please. You take the mic.
That came to mind was understanding the purpose of suffering, and it's why it exists and why we experience it, and gaining a new perspective, because it's not that we can necessarily, like you were saying before, it's the nature of this world. While we're living here, it's going to come and go just as the seasons come and go. So it's to be expected. So we can kind of relieve ourselves of this trying to, anxiously trying to get it out of our lives, get suffering out of our lives. We can kind of be relieved of that anxiety that it will come and it will go. It won't last forever, and that it does serve as a purpose. And it's when we see it, I think, through the right way, we can kind of see that it is such a gift, especially in spiritual life, because it helps us realize that this is not where we come from and this is not where we belong, right? So
Yeah.
that was something I thought of. Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so my question, Vera, is suffering's coming. It's coming like the seasons, right? Winter, summer, heat, cold. So how in our life, when suffering comes, do we take the inspiration of somebody like Aditi, and how do we practically perform this in our life? What do you think?
I talk to mentors and friends, and I share what I'm going through, and I try to gain new perspective or advice from them. Maybe they've been through something similar and they have something to share. And so often what helps me is just being able to share with someone else, just confiding in confidence. That helps me the most. It's not that I'm necessarily looking for a solution, but just someone who's able to extend themselves and kind of step out of their world and step into your world momentarily, and kind of be there with you and hold space for you. That personally, that helps me a lot more than anything, is just being able to express what I'm going through. Yeah.
Very nice. We inquire. We inquire confidentially, right? What should I do? I'm in this situation. How should I move about? How should I go through this situation? And in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we have a founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada. And he's our Kassapa Muni. He's our pure devotee that has done the austerities, that has Krishna completely in his heart, and has no interest other than to help us to meet, embrace, and love the Lord. And so we can always have this vision within our heart of how we are inquiring from others and how they are helping us to understand Srila Prabhupada's mood and our mission. And we can even inquire from Srila Prabhupada directly. Have you ever had an experience where you have a question and it's deep, well, maybe not even that deep, but you have a question and you read Srila Prabhupada's books and you see the answer and you go, that's Srila Prabhupada. He is there. He hears your questions. And sometimes He'll do it indirectly at first because sometimes we don't maybe have this perspective that we can come to Srila Prabhupada directly. But he's so kind that he is within our heart, he hears, and he answers in this way. But we can develop more that relationship by directly asking Srila Prabhupada and asking those who know Srila Prabhupada. I said before, the people that we should be inquiring from submissively and serving are the pure devotee or the person who's following perfectly the pure devotee. These people we can trust completely. We can reveal our mind to. And so, I've heard it said that whenever we have an issue, that we can ask 6 Brahmins. If you have 6 Brahmins, that's equal to 1 pure devotee. So we inquire from the people in our movement that are following Srila Prabhupada, that are following his process, and we inquire from them. And if we do this, if we inquire from 6 people, you can get a really clear answer about what you should do. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for clarity. We should have the satisfaction of an answer that's like when we're hungry, we eat and we feel that satisfaction. And we should move on that. We should take action on that. Our action before that is to inquire. And in our inquiry, when we get the satisfied answer, we take action on that answer. And this is how we progress. This is how we will get the opportunity to see Krishna like Mother Aditi. And so we're very fortunate. And we have a process, we have a vrat that we do. We chant 16 rounds, all 4 regular principles. Srila Prabhupada asks that we rise early. We read his books, and we try to understand them. I remember listening to Srila Prabhupada's lectures, and so many times you hear him say, try to understand. And when I hear this, I was like, what does this mean, try to understand? And I got some realization that so often we're stuck in our own thought processes, our own mentalities, that we don't even try to understand what is being said to us. So Srila Prabhupada encourages us, just try to understand. Use your intelligence to try to understand what is it that Srila Prabhupada is saying to you personally, so that you can follow this process and you can see Krishna. So, I'm going to pause there. We talked about in this world, suffering is always right around the bend. It's always happiness, distress. There's suffering that we cannot avoid. And so when we're put in that situation, we should take inspiration from devotees like Mother Aditi in this story, who inquire submissively and serve to the pure devotee, and we should hear from that pure devotee and follow their instructions and be very confident that Krishna will appear in some way, shape, or form and give us the help that we need. And therefore we become qualified, and we can do the same thing for others. Mother Aditi is coming qualified so that she can also do the same that her husband gave to her. And very qualified to instruct the demigods or sons. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Daniel.
Hare Krishna, thank you for teaching.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening.
I am still trying to understand. I appreciate that acknowledgement that it's sometimes we can get stuck in our own mentalities and ways of thinking, and we don't try to understand. So we think that the way that, like, I think must be all that there is. And so I think what stood out to me is it's important when I inquire to actually want an answer, even if it does not match what my mind or my thought processes might say are the processes that should be. And I might, because if I am inquiring and I am probably out of satisfying answers in my own head, and so why would I go back to that anyways? And so it's good to be open to the instruction, because it's really out of love to satisfy those inquiries.
Can I make a comment on that? May I make a comment on that part?
Oh, yes.
I felt like you were going to mention more, but if you're done, if you're going to move to another subject, if I could just make a comment on that before.
Yeah.
Isn't it wonderful, too, that when we inquire and we try to understand, that more questions come up? It's a great gift, and even then when we don't understand, but we're trying to understand, we come up with better questions. The process is one by which Guru's position is to satisfy the doubts of the disciple. And the duty of the disciple is to submissively inquire about the answers of their doubts. And we participate in this process. We shouldn't be scared that more doubts come. We should see it as more understanding to come. I can ask more questions, and more questions, and more questions, and more questions, and more questions. However, one thing that can be tough is how we ask the questions. Sometimes, because we can ask questions in a challenging manner. The Bhagavad Gita explains that we should ask submissively. And that's kind of tough to understand, because when we hear now in this day the word submissive, it means it's bad to be submissive. But we should try to understand what submissive means in the context of Bhagavad Gita and inquiring from the guru or the devotee. Submissively means that I'm willing to be corrected. I'm willing to adjust my perspective. I'm willing to be wrong. And I'm willing to be right. But I'm willing, if I have doubts, to even ask more questions and try to understand. Srila Prabhupada, when he says try to understand, he is saying, please try to inquire submissively. Try to understand submissively what we can, what is being said here, what Krishna is saying. And so it's a beautiful process. Often in this material world, a world of suffering, we inquire, and because we are inquiring from those who are not qualified, we get frustration brought to us for asking questions. Have you ever had this in school when you were a kid and you had questions, or please forgive me, parents, I'm a parent also, but you're inquiring from your parents and you're asking questions and they become frustrated at you and tell you basically to shut up in one way or another. Maybe they don't say it directly, but in some way they say, stop asking questions. But if we find the person that is qualified, they actually appreciate the questions. But they appreciate also the sincerity in the question. It's not that we should fire questions over and over. We should, sometimes it's question, answer, contemplate it for some time, and then come up with some better questions and ask. Please go ahead, Daniel.
I was just taking more notes. Thank you. I have some notes I can read if you like. That was my comment, though.
Okay. If you, is there anybody else with any comments or questions? Thoughts? Inquiries? Corrections. Oh, corrections are really good.
In the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, there's a chapter called The Structure of the Universe. Have you ever read that?
I have. It's not coming to mind at the moment of what was being talked about, but yes, I've read it.
Well, it talks about something called the island of Jambudweep. It has a whole description of the structure of the universe that is completely different than anything we've ever seen or been told. Or So do we have to understand it, or is it a...
Well,
do we just move right along? Or?
I think it would be a good question for the person who's qualified. I'm trying to understand this. Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, is it necessary for me, my understanding? I'm guessing an answer will come. We have service. We have a service in Srila Prabhupada's Sankirtan movement. And to try to understand everything Srila Prabhupada's giving us is impossible. But we can try to understand Srila Prabhupada's instruction in our service. So some people, they read that and they think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have to understand it. I want to understand it. And they'll dive into it. And it will click to them. It will satisfy them. And then some people will read that and go, you know what? I don't know. But it doesn't really matter to me. I get it. I see it. I recognize it's there. But it's just not my service, This is amazing movement that we have, that Srila Prabhupada has given us. He's given us so much that each and every one of us have an individual service in the Sankirtan movement that we attract to, and we can dive deeper into it. Srila Prabhupada says that a Vaishnav is good at everything, but he's master of one thing in particular. What are you a master of? What's your service? Because we're not trying to just be a master of something. We're trying to be master of a service to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. And there's some devotees, they read that and they go, here it is. This is my service to understand, And some devotees, they read Nectar of Instruction and they, this is my book. This speaks to me. And so I'm going to understand it, and then I'm going to do my best to share with others. And some people read Bhagavad Gita, and some people read Nectar of Devotion, and some people, and matter of fact, not only just a book, but is there sections in the book? Is there one sloka that we might have that is ours? Good. Or we can have sections. But we should seek clarity. If we have a question, then we should have somebody we can inquire. that is following Srila Prabhupada perfectly. They've taken instructions and they're following him perfectly. We inquire from that person. Okay, no, I'm not understanding this. First of all, is it necessary for me to understand? And if it is, please give me some kind of understanding so that I can work on it. It will be clear. It will. If you keep on inquiring in a submissive mood, you'll get to a point where you just feel satisfied. I've asked questions, in this inquiring situation. I've come to realize that sometimes what I do when, at least in my mind, maybe you guys have an experience like this also, is you have a question, and before you even ask the question, you have the answer. Oh yeah, the answer to the question that I have is this and this. But there's an amazing thing that we can do in our devotional service is that we can put off what we think we know, and we can inquire anyways. I've found when I've done this that the answer I get always has something extra in it to build on my devotional service. Sometimes it's completely different than the answer that I thought, and sometimes it's right in the ballpark, but there's always something that is added. And it's a really cool process. I at least for me, I've gotten to the point where I don't even let my mind answer the question. To be honest with you, I come up with a question, and I just go, "Wow, that's a really good question. Let's ask." And the mind might chirp a little bit and start, "Oh, we know the answer to that." And I just go, "No, I don't care. I want to know from this devotee. I want to hear from them. I want to hear what Krishna has to say right here and right now." And it's an amazing thing that comes about inquiring in a submissive way by taking that instruction and just, matter of fact, you know what? I just realized you're an expert at that. You ask so many questions, I go, Mishra Bhagavan knows the answer. And so then I go, why is he asking? But it's enjoyable to ask questions and talk about it and hear about something and hear a little more that adds to your realization. Yes, no? What do you think? Right? You're like, I remember thinking this before. I was like, man, Mishra Bhagavan has that down. And it actually says, actually says that a qualification of a devotee is that they can ask good questions. They can ask questions. And so we should become expert at asking questions. Not for the sake of just asking them, but we should understand the purpose of questions. And we should understand the purpose of inquiry. And we should understand the mood in which we do it by. Good questions. Srila Prabhupada says that everybody's asking questions. He says the birds are chirping in the morning, asking questions to each other. Hey, where's the food? Where's food? Where's food? Where's Mom? When are you feeding me? Where's breakfast? He says that all the time. There's just questions and answers being done, and so we should become expert question answers. I've been playing around with AI. Big thing is AI right now, artificial intelligence, and I really appreciate it. It's so amazing. It's so cool. And the more and more I get into it, I realize that my realization is that knowledge is going to be available to everyone in the touch in 2 touches. So what you know isn't going to be impressive. I can ask Grok. I can ask ChatGPT. Now, what's impressive though is can you ask it the right questions? Can you inquire from it in a way that gets you to your purpose? And there's an art form in this. And the people that will succeed with AI are the people that can ask the right questions and then ask better questions and better questions and better questions. And as devotees, we have the best questions. We're the best questioner answers. So we, instead of thinking of this as Maya or something like that, we should actually be able to, oh, how am I going to use this? How am I going to use this to be able to spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world? By the way, I'm not saying everybody. I understand that we all have our service, but there are some devotees that this is their service. Point being, become expert in asking questions. It's the best, one of the best qualities we can have as devotees. Okay. Thank you, Mishra Bhagavan Prabhu. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. So, we have this beautiful story of Mother Aditi, the mother of the demigods. She's in this situation that she can't avoid. Her sons are suffering. She's suffering because her sons are suffering. And she goes through the process of asking the qualified person how she should move about. And because of her submissive inquiry and her following the instructions of her spiritual master, she gets an opportunity to see Krishna. And Krishna takes care of it. It's an amazing, right? Doesn't matter what you're asking for. Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakal patarubhyascha kripa sindhubi eva cha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Antikoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.